get rid of this.
Nick Fuentes going on Tucker Carlson, that kind of thing.
Well, that's right. And like all the people on the Columbia campus.
But there is this like percolation, and there are a lot of examples. There are more and more.
Oh, I think Hitler was good, or I think Stalin was good, or
yeah.
But that is not conservative. It's not useful. It's not helpful to Donald Trump. As young people do say and do stupid things, and you do have to take into account the fact that
some of these guys were like 40 years old. Like no one's calling me a young.
No, but his state, but his.
In 2022, how much can he even know? He's just a kid.
That was a lot of criticism he was facing.
Why is he being hired?
And I think many of these people aren't conservatives. They're not Trump supporters, and they're here to divide the conservative movement and potentially destroy it from the inside out. We're under no obligation.
You shouldn't just label the right as having an anti-Semitism problem, because the left has a very big anti-Semitism problem.
That's right.
And those of us who live in New York are terrified at the moment that the left has elected a very strongly anti-Semitic, anti-Zionist mayor.
Well, I don't know.
That is a smear and is not true.
Have we not
We are not deporting American citizens.
I didn't say they were deported. I said they've been grabbed up off the street by people with masks, even though they say they're citizens.
Hello, everybody. Guys, we got the undead Marjorie Taylor Greene's mom back on the panel, and of course, Trump's baby boo, Scott Jennings. Let's get into this segment and we'll talk about it.
A Trump loyalist at the center of a racist texting controversy that cost him his previous job within the administration just landed a new gig in the president's administration. An official now tells CNN that Paul Ingrassia is now serving as Deputy General Counsel at the General Services Administration. Trump originally had tapped him to lead the Office of Special Counsel, but Ingrassia ended up withdrawing his nomination after a slew of messages surfaced that were so bad that Republican senators very clearly were going to refuse to support his confirmation. Politico reported last month that Ingrassia had said, just to remind you, in a group chat that, among other things, Martin Luther King Jr. Day should be tossed into the seventh circle of hell, and also that he admitted in the group chat that to having a Nazi streak from time to time. Ingrassia's attorney told the publication if the texts are real, they were meant sarcastically. There's a leaning on sarcasm when you're trying to defend yourself on that one. Questionable at best. Why do you think the president wants him in the administration so badly? I mean, Republicans were very clear. They saw this and they were like, we are out when they saw these messages come out with him with the first job.
I think that's a great question for the Republicans on the panel, because it's one of the things that baffles me a lot. Why would you extend yourself to somebody who keeps putting his foot in his mouth in this way that's really horrible? You even got Jewish groups coming out for it. So you got the president of the United States who's leaning on colleges and universities on anti-Semitism and trying to enforce an anti-Semitism program in the administration, but then hiring people who identify with Nazis.
Well, don't say people. I mean, this one person, I can't imagine why the president or anybody wants him in the administration. He just graduated from law school in 2022. How much can he even know? He's just a kid.
That was a lot of criticism he was facing.
Why is he being hired?
Look, I mean,
Undead, everyone is a kid to you. You're about 6,000 years old. Cut it out.
I think it was right that they pulled him down. He clearly wasn't going to pass, number one. Number two, I mean, he was White House liaison at DHS.
Yes,
right?
exactly
so
right.
It's actually a pretty powerful position. Now,
I was going to say, that's a pretty big
How did he get it?
Now he's Deputy General Counsel at the GSA. Seems like a demotion to me. Look, my personal view is, in all these personnel matters, you have to decide how much water you want to take on or carry for people. And, he said some pretty reprehensible things, which is why the Senate Republicans weren't going to confirm him. Right. So, I guess if you had to make an argument for it, it's like, look, he was young. He said stupid things. Everybody deserves a second chance. But some of the things he said were beyond the pale.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. And both parties should just simply divorce themselves from anybody who sounds like an anti-Semite, even if they just do it a few times.
Like
just get rid of this.
Nick Fuentes going on Tucker Carlson, that kind of thing.
Well,
that's right.
And
like all the people on the Columbia campus.
But there is this like percolation, and there are a lot of examples. There are more and more examples.
They're freaking out. Anti-Semitism on campuses again. Protesting Israeli government genocide. Cut the crap out. It was never against Jewish people. But anyways, and of course, they call this guy Paul Ingrassia. He's effing 30. They calling him a kid. Both of them did. It was just some kids being rascals. Just like the leaked group chat, 18 to 40-year-olds. Unbelievable. To act so surprised as to why Trump would even want this guy? I wonder why they just won't let him go. Why is Tucker Carlson playing Finding the Banana with Nick Fuentes? Mystery. Guys, please try to help me. Please try to help me out in the comments. Why do they like this guy so much? I think I'm close, but I just can't put my finger on it. Why do Republicans excuse racist group chat? I just can't seem to figure it out. Republicans don't tend to peddle bigotry every chance they get, do they? No, not the Republicans. They aren't like that.
Of recent. And I was actually I actually looked back at Ted Cruz just last month actually spoke out very, very specifically about this, saying that there's a growing cancer and poison of anti-Semitism on the right. And he said it at an event in San Antonio. I'm here to tell you, in the last 6 months, I have seen anti-Semitism rising on the right in a way I have never seen it in my entire life.
He's right, by the way, and
Yes.
he has been courageous on this. And we can't offer any quarter or harbor for this. And you know, I hear people say, well, you know, free speech, we have to let everybody.
No.
This has nothing to do with free speech. This has everything to do with what sort of speech you want your movement to be associated with. It's not conservative to espouse these anti-Semitic views or to even play around with it. And I think many of these people aren't conservatives. They're not Trump supporters, and they're here to divide the conservative movement and potentially destroy it from the inside out. We're under no obligation whatsoever to absorb or accept this in the name of free speech. We could just say, you know what? You're free to do whatever you want, but you're not going to do it here.
Well, I will say, I think Donald Trump has destroyed the conservative movement from the inside out, but that's a separate conversation, because I do agree with the first part of what Scott said, which is that folks like this need to be held accountable. And I will say, I think the reason the Trump administration probably didn't instinctively fire someone like this is, look, they have been pushing back against people just getting crowdsourced fired all over the place. That part of the political spectrum has gone overboard, where people say one wrong thing, they're fired from their jobs, they lose their lives. I get that. We need to overcorrect. We need to not overcorrect for that by keeping people that say things like they have a Nazi streak. But there's a balance to be struck there, and I think Scott's right. This is an obvious place where someone like this probably doesn't deserve to be in a role in the federal government being paid by U.S.
I
taxpayers.
agree with that, but let's also keep in mind that we shouldn't just label the right as having an anti-Semitism problem, because the left has a very big anti-Semitism problem.
That's right.
And those of us who live in New York are terrified at the moment that the left has elected a very strongly anti-Semitic, anti-Zionist mayor.
Well, I don't know that we know.
So disgusting. Guys, you see? Racist Tourette's. They just can't help it. I'm making great breakthroughs in my medical studies on this diagnosis, by the way. I mean, look at the undead. She's one of my subjects. She's been through quite a few experiments, as you can see. In fact, I have to admit something to you guys. I'm the one who keeps resurrecting her. I know. I need to stop. I'll stop, guys. She's been through enough, as you can see. Guys, Republicans are not going to stop bothering Mamdani. It's too big of a target. Muslim mayor of New York City. It's just too big of a racist target for them not to hit. Their racism Tourette's will not allow it. Guys, I have a plan for Mamdani. Hear me out. He just needs to come out one day, just Israeli'd out. Wear the Star of David necklace, the little hat, the yarmulke, kiss the wall in Israel. Do it all. Like, these idiots, they can't help themselves. They know all too well who their voters are and who they're speaking to. Like I said, it's too big of it's too big of a racist target for Republicans not to keep saying this kind of crap. Oh my Lord, a Muslim. Whatever will we do? Republicans are just a bunch of damsels in distress, especially the men. Permanently damsels in distress.
Know that about him, but we did.
Yes, we do know that about
I don't
him.
know.
We know more about that than we do about the banana boats. I can tell you that.
Yes,
that
we
about
do.
him.
Stop bringing up banana boats, for God's sake.
He's the one that started.
But what we do, that's not what I said. But what we do know, though, is that there are people who are interested in dividing us against each other. And we want to have an America where everybody gets to participate, everybody gets to have their say. I mean, we're sitting here having this conversation. But the problem is sometimes it feels like the perspective of people on the left is that everybody does have a say. But people on the right don't really have space for everyone else to be in America and to do that. And I think that is the problem.
I disagree with that.
Because we're watching Donald Trump, who is going after these people who he says are immigrants. Some of them are American citizens. They're being grabbed up by people on the street.
We're not
we are
grabbing up
seeing.
American citizens.
No.
That is a smear and is not true.
Have we not?
It
We are
is
not
true, you
deporting
idiot.
American
I
citizens.
didn't say they were deported. I said they've been grabbed up off the street by people with masks, even though they say they're citizens, even though they say they have papers, and they're still arrested until we can find out.
I do want to say one thing. There's the clarity from Ted Cruz to Betsy to Scott on this one. It's
refreshing.
It is, but it's also easy. Like, and I have seen Donald. Like, there is the vice president sometimes seems to tiptoe around how he takes this on or doesn't when it comes to Tucker or the group of young Republicans and the disgusting things that came out in their text message. He was asked about it and downplayed the disgusting things that came out in that group chat just last month. Let me play this.
I wonder why.
The reality is that kids do stupid things, especially young boys. They tell edgy, offensive jokes. Like, that's what kids do. And I really don't want us to grow up in a country where a kid telling a stupid joke, telling a very offensive stupid joke, is cause to ruin their lives.
What do you think? What is the vice president trying to do?
Well,
it's not hard to say what you said.
No, of course, but what he is saying is not incorrect. Young people do say.
Guys, this party will never fully push away bigotry. They need those voters. That's just how it is. They need the racists to vote for them. They need the Nazis to vote for them. It's just amazing how they try to needle their way through this.
And do stupid things, and you do have to take into account the fact that
some of these guys were like 40 years old. Like, no one's calling me a young.
No, but his statement there.
Refer to the young
Thank you so much. But like some of the people on the group chat, they were not young.
but
It was
his
called young
statement-
Republicans.
but
They were like
his-
40, 30. I mean, like, come on, guys.
But his statement was, I think, basically true. You take
They're
young people,
defending
they
it.
do stupid things. Are you going to ruin the rest of their life over it? To me, that's a separate conversation, though.
Then
When
what?
someone reveals themselves to be anti-Semitic, to harbor hate for people like that, to say, oh, I think Hitler was good, or I think Stalin was good, or but that is not conservative. It's not useful. It's not helpful to Donald Trump. It's not helpful to J.D. Vance. It's not helpful to the Republican Party. And sometimes you got to take out the trash, and that's my view. And look, but I think his point about young people doing stupid things is broadly not incorrect.
I'm going to leave it at that.
I just think it's hilarious that where did Republicans think this party, how far it was going to go? You guys just a couple years ago were marching, Jews will not replace us. Where do you think it was naturally going to evolve to? This is incredible that they're so dumbfounded. No anti-Semitism. Everything else is all right. Islamophobia, racism against black people, immigrants. Just not anti-Semitism, for the love of God. Please, no anti-Semitism. Unbelievable. These people are disgusting. Defending their Nazi salutes. So surprised as to how this happened. Unbelievable. And Scott just said that Nick Fuentes types, what, the Tucker Carlson types are not Republicans? Not conservatives? Not Trump supporters? Amazing. That's just hilarious. They're so pissed. The Nazis are on the stage now instead of backstage. That's really the issue. Why these Republicans are so pissed off. Look at his stupid face. To the extent that these Nick Fuentes supporters don't support Trump is because he isn't aggressive enough. He isn't bigoted enough. They want someone even more cruel to anyone that isn't white or Christian. Guys, Nick Fuentes literally started his channel when Trump became president. He was inspired by him, fell in love with the guy. He literally said that. So odd, right? It's so odd. The white nationalist saw a twinkle in Trump's eye. I wonder what twinkle he saw. And I have to say about that prick, Ted Cruz, a rise in anti-Semitism like he's never seen in the past 10 years. Funny how that lines up perfectly with the time Trump entered the political scene, huh, Teddy? I wonder how that happened. And of course, only anti-Semitism matters to Republicans. Forget all the racism, all the bigotry. Only anti-Semitism is to be worried about. Amazing, these people. And they cannot get out of their own way. And they wonder why these roaches keep coming out of the cabinets. Go ahead, Republicans. Keep feeding the roaches. I want the roaches to overtake them, to be honest. They are much more easier to squish. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Please leave a like, subscribe. Really helps the channel. Really helps push the message out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.